why pink and white nails are the absolute most important in your nail game. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking I'm crazy, and you might be right. We're going to talk about this right now on the Biz Talk. Tracey, I would argue that I'm not crazy. I think
I could argue hard back.
No. Listen, I think I'm actually very stable, and I'm very logical in my thinking, and there's evidence of that, right? How I run the company.
Can we get to the subject?
I plead the fifth. That's what I saw all over your face. 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth. Little Dave Chappelle. Okay, this is an interesting topic because many people right now would be like, dude, you're nuts. Pink and whites are not relevant today. They're dead. Nail art is it. Why, in the Lord's name, Tracey, are pink and white nails the most important? Why? Tell me why. Go. Tell me. Why?
They're not.
And that's the end of this episode. Thank you for joining us.
They are the most important because they're the hardest to do. They really are.
Okay, but why? So just before you continue, they're the hardest. So what?
Yes.
I would argue and say, so what? They're the hardest. That's why I shouldn't even bother learning them. Let me go to nail art or like just whole colored nails. What's the point?
Well, I agree to an extent because you know me, I'm always like, people are like, show us how to do an ombre traditionally. I'm like, nope, airbrush.
Yeah.
Why would I do a hard something?
Save
hard?
time.
First, there are still smile lines out there. It may not be a pink and white, but there's still smile lines. If you can do a pink and white nail, honestly, you can do anything. It's just because it is the most difficult and you have to get that smile line perfect. Pink and white shows every single flaw. If you can do a perfect pink and white, end of game, you got everything else down.
Okay. Is this go for gel, acrylic,
all of
across the board?
All of it.
So at our 1 week course that we teach, what's the focus on pink and whites?
It's a whole day.
It's a whole day.
It's a whole day of sculpting pink and whites over and over and over. And people come and they're like, I'm not going to do a pink and white in the salon. And I hear you because I would avoid them like the plague myself if I was in salon. But you never know when someone's going to come in the door and want them because they do trend back and forth. But smile lines are still popular. You see them, might not be a full set of smile lines anymore. There's ombre and then a smile line, a couple smile lines on a set. And if you can't do that, then you have to turn those people away. So it's important to know. But literally, people are like, I don't want to do it. Not gonna do it. And like, this is what this whole day is about. And I'm like, trust us. When we get to art, things are going to be much easier if you get this down.
Okay, so what is it about outside of creating the smile itself? Okay, because I would argue and say, okay, fine. So I'm limited to smile lines and maybe those customers, but how does that actually help me understand like the structure of the nail or building the nail by doing pink and whites? What is it about doing that outside of the smile line? We already know that obviously you're going to learn how to do a smile, but what other things?
It teaches you product control because of the way we apply it, especially when it comes to white. People struggle with white application. I did. They tend to get shadow lines in their whites. And I'm not just talking about pink and whites. I'm talking about in your ombres, if you're doing design work with it, because people tend to work with white way too wet. They get the shadows and they get these little pits. And I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about. It almost looks like little pepper in your white. And that's usually typically because you're working with your white too wet.
Okay.
So you're going to learn definitely how to control that product because when we do reverse, it does that. You're going to learn really quick how to control your pink and how to work in a clay consistency, which makes getting that upper arch so much easier. So when you apply the pink first and you get the bulk at that stress area,
right,
and then you add product here, even when I'm doing a nude set, I almost apply it in that technique,
right,
because it immediately builds that upper arch.
So in building the pink and white, when you start with the pink and you're building the upper arch, and then you go ahead and you fine tune the smile, and then you push the white up to it. It's the same technique when you're doing even a like you said, if it's a full nude nail, pink, beige, whatever, you're still building that part first. You're just not being as precise but the technique is the same.
The concept is the same. And when you get that idea of where to stop the pink when you're doing a pink and white, you kind of get a really good idea of, oh, that's where the upper arch is.
Got it.
So yeah, makes a huge difference.
Okay, so structure of nail obviously is huge. So you start with pink and whites, two contrasting colors, obviously pink and white. And like you said, you're going to notice the shadowing or any differences because of that contrast between the colors. You're really zooming into all the details in sculpting. So do you actually see that to be true on what day is pink and white? Is that day 1 or day 2? Day 2. Okay. And then when you get to art, day 3 of OWC? Mm-hmm. So day 3, do people say to you, oh my gosh, this is so much? Do you actually get that response?
Yeah, we do. And people go, you know what? I also now, if someone does want it, I feel comfortable in doing it. Or they're all of a sudden they're like, I really like pink and whites.
Right.
Because we've made it easier with the reverse technique. It makes it so much easier. If you've, I'm like, have you ever done a traditional pink and white, Habib? It's
actually, I have.
It's a struggle, man.
Yeah.
It's a struggle. And that reverse technique makes it so much easier where like, okay, now I have the confidence if someone walks in the door, I can give them what they want.
Right.
Please charge more for pink and white. So it is a difficult.
It's way more work. Yeah.
It's more work. Yeah. And like I said, you have to be way more precise. So I charged $10 more for pink and whites.
Pink and whites. I actually remember back in the day when we were first getting started, I wanted to understand just acrylic because I was in the business. And so Greg was trying to teach me at that time it was traditional. And I'm like, how in the hell, like you'd lay the white down and then have to get your brush and like roll it in and get that smile. And I'm like, this is insane.
And you work with it really wet because
Correct.
You're trying to have product not set up on you and get the.
Yeah. It was insane.
And then you cap it in pink and you're like, crap, I just got pink on my white.
Right.
You know, so now it's clouded.
Throw it all away.
Clouded. It's clouded.
It's cloudy.
It's clouded all.
So one thing I notice, and kind of to your point earlier, is in a lot of nail art today, you actually see like ring finger smile and then like all like that's a big thing right now in just nail styling overall is one smile line on the ring finger and having that option in a look, correct?
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah. I like it. I'm glad that smile lines are coming back in that form.
Right.
Where you don't have to do all 10 of them like that, but you get a couple and it just looks really, really nice.
Yeah, it creates a different look, I think, overall. Do you know any of our current mentors that are doing nails who are doing pink and whites, like have a clientele that actually are getting pink and whites on the normal? Is anybody like consistently coming in, give me pink and whites?
I think we have a few that have a couple sprinkled in, but not a full clientele. I mean, back in the day, my clientele was all pink and white.
Was it? Of course, back in the day.
Yeah, and then I couldn't do it anymore. If I was going to freak out. The only person.
So what did you do?
My mom, Jesus, she would come in. I love you, Mom, so much. Thank you for birthing me, but you're a pain in the butt.
Does your mom ever watch these, by the way?
She does.
Oh my God.
She would make me do pink and whites and then cover them up with gel polish. But just in case she wanted to change her mind, she had pink and white underneath. The only client I would ever. Oh.
How did you actually get them off pink? How did you get your clients off?
It was difficult at first because, I mean, everybody, and it was kind of more of a thing back then. I started wearing the art myself.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
Something that huge marketing strategy, wear your freaking work.
And then a little glitter here. Oh, well, let's do a little glitter smile line over your pink and white.
Right.
And then, just slowly transitioned.
So if somebody's already, has built a clientele and they're not doing pink and whites, let's say they've never done pink and whites, right now, today, should they go back and practice it, try it.
I would say if they have a full clientele and they're doing artwork, they probably have the fundamentals down.
Yeah.
The concepts down. And the only thing I would say is if you wanted to start incorporating artwork with smile lines and you struggle with it,
Yeah.
go back and practice them, because again, that pink and white is going to show you exactly where you messed up.
I think like right now is a perfect opportunity for that, right? Like there's a lot of nail professionals that are at home, and even if you've maybe don't have use, like you said, maybe it's not a huge use, like why not challenge yourself?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not going to hurt you to have that technique. You know what I mean? In your nail arsenal. It's like right now I've cracked open a book that I've been wanting to read for ages, and it's dense. It's like the pink and whites of like books. Okay.
Okay, what's it on?
It's on history of Homo sapiens. That's what I'm reading right now. And I know, trust me, it's a dense book, but it's
Just put me
super
to sleep
fascinating.
talking about it.
I know, that's what I'm saying. It's the pink and whites of books, but there's like so much like just great history in there, and I'm like loving it, but I'm doing it now, right?
Yeah.
Like now is like, I'm like, well, there is some options, there is time and a little bit of time. I mean, we're keeping busy in other ways, but I've just kind of tapped into that. So you should do the same thing. If you're at home, why not tap into pink and whites?
They should do it, and they should tag us like YN pink and white.
Yeah, hashtag YN pink and whites.
We want to see them.
We want to see them. We will search it, and then we will repost your work on stories, or maybe even on a Feature Friday, put it up there on a main feed post, right?
Yeah, I like it.
I like it too. Do that. Hashtag YN pink and whites. Let us see what you're working on. I would love to see it. Tracey wants to see it. Tracey, again, thank you.
Thank you.
Really appreciate you guys joining us, and we will see you next time on Biz Talk.